All right, thank you, everybody. This is Dom from Upstate Supernatural. Would like to thank everybody that's here tonight that's viewing the show with us. We have a great... What is going on? There you go. Let me turn that off real quick. All right. We have a great guest with us tonight. It is Phil Siracusa from the Horsefly Chronicles. He is the owner of the residence and has an interesting story that he'd like to let everybody know about. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let him introduce a little bit about himself. And you're on right now, bud.
Okay, thank you, Dom, for having me. It's a pleasure. My name is Phil Siracusa. I'm the author of the Horsefly Chronicles, a true life demonic haunting. I was telling Dom a little bit earlier that I can't start from the very beginning to give all the information, but what I can do is, if you're asking questions, I'll answer all the questions in an appropriate way. And I will say that as I'm starting this, that for those that question whether evil exists, demons, ghosts, they do. There's no question. There's no doubt. I'm 47 years old, and looking back in the reflection of the mirror, I can tell you clearly that I live with this today. And there's no solution yet to the problem that I still face.
Now, the first question I actually have for you, how long has this been going on for you? How long have you been dealing with the occurrences? Is this a family residence that was something that you've lived in your whole entire life? Or has it moved along with you?
No, this is a dark attachment that has followed me since adolescence. I lived in over 10 different locations. It's not the home. It just so happens that these dark attachments are able to travel through water. Wherever I moved, I'm from Staten Island, New York, then I moved to New Jersey, and then Pennsylvania. Wherever I go, these dark attachments are there as well. So this is a life occurrence, not 1 year or 2 years or 3 years. This is something that's been going on since childhood.
Is there any advice that you may have for individuals out there that are going through something like this? Is there any insight or help that you could let them know that this is what is going on or what to do in case of it?
As I still go through this battle every single day, and I have a family here of 6, my only advice is that, a Ouija board is just a board, yes, but when you have an intent to summon up spirits through anything that you're doing, be careful, because you don't know what you're going to call for on the other side. Evil finds its weakest link. And what that means is that dark entities will always find their way in when you're trying to talk to a loved one through using a board or medium writing or any kind of connection to the spirit world. Just be very careful. Now, unfortunately, I don't have the advice how to remove these things because I'm still dealing with this today. I've had a deliverance. I've had the home blessed several times. It just seems like demons, while I don't want to give them credit, they're always one step ahead of us. And what we're going to do, they know our first move, and they're ready for it.
Now, even I myself, I'm very hesitant with a lot of investigators out there saying that they're dealing with a demon haunting. I'm not denouncing that that's what is going on where you're living at all. But I'm just curious, how do you differentiate? Like, how does a person know that it is a demon opposed to a malevolent spirit? What's their criteria per se to figure out what it is?
Okay, I'm not a psychic, I'm not a medium, I'm not a sensitive. How do I know that I'm dealing with demons? The beginning of the story, while I can't go into depth, I remember heaven and I remember pulled into hell. I also remember being pulled out of hell through a bright light. But this bright light also pulled in dark entities, and they came with me. And that's how I know that I'm dealing with a demonic haunting. Now, again, when you say malevolent spirits or unfriendly spirits versus demonic, what is the feeling of a demon in a home? or in a demon having an attachment, they take away everything from you, all your hope, all your happiness, your love, your ambition. They make you feel void, like there's nothing there. And then they fill that void with pure evil thoughts that I will not even discuss how evil it is. And that's what they do. They drain you and they fill in all their negative energy to you.
Just out of curiosity, the title, Horsefly Chronicles, would you be able to explain that a little bit for anybody
Sure.
that isn't sure?
Sure. The Horsefly Chronicles, where did I get the name from? My entire life, I've always been circled by either a fly or a horsefly. Not every day, not every single hour, but on rare occurrences where there shouldn't be a fly or a horsefly. And I'll never forget that I was working in New Jersey and I was getting circled in front of people's residence by a horsefly. And I thought it was coincidence that it just keeps going counterclockwise. But then, week after week, it's the same thing, but when that happens, I start to feel a negative oppression around me. And I didn't understand in the beginning. And then I started to realize that whenever this symbol is there of a fly or a horsefly, in the strangest of occurrences, not every day, something bad is about to happen around me or to someone that I know. So again, it's like a sign that it's coming and get ready for it. And the only similarity I can give to that is like the Amityville Horror when the priest goes into the room and there's flies all over the windows. They want you to know that they're ready for you. And what they want me to know in this occurrence of my lifetime is that they're listening. In the most bizarre ways, they're listening. And I've had people involved with Horsefly Productions that are no longer with me for the simple reason that they told me the most bizarre stories that I did not believe, even though I lived this case. They told me there's a horsefly in their house at 2 o'clock in the morning. There's a horsefly in 0-degree weather. I found that hard to believe, because as long as I live this life, I question everything as well. And when one person, 2 people, 3 people, and the chain of events keeps going on, where people are telling me the same thing, and not everybody, but the majority of people that's how evil wants to represent itself, it will do it. And that's where I came up with the name, the Horsefly Chronicles, and Chronicles because it's a series of books throughout my life that are coming out.
Would you like to go ahead and kind of give like a shout out for the books and so forth to let people know where they can find that information?
Sure. The first book is the Horsefly Chronicles. It ends in 1999. And that talks about heaven, hell, adolescence, the Ouija board, my involvement with organized crime, how my life took a turn for the worst, and how I brought in all darkness. And I was not in an occult, but I did my own practice with darkness to see if it worked. And it did work. The Curse of the Horsefly Chronicles, with the help of Carissa Fleck, we decided to come out with a book that represents the paranormal teams that have been here to my home, that investigated the case, and we wanted to hear word for word what they had to say, copy and paste it and put it into that book. And that book will also be continued to a second part of other paranormal teams that continue to follow. You know, the biggest thing and the hardest thing for people to believe in is, do true hauntings exist or demonic hauntings? And I'll tell you clear as day, they do. But you can't take my word for it because you don't know me. So what I do is I bring the best people in paranormal to my home and give their testimonial of what they're experiencing here. And this case is still ongoing. There's a big question mark of exactly the magnitude of what we're dealing with here.
Now, I know we only have kind of like an hour, so I mean we can go a little bit over as well. But you said, and I've heard some of the information from Carissa as well. But you basically, you died in a past life, and then had the remembering of heaven and hell. Is that correct? Like, can you explain a little bit on that, just for the viewers, because you did reference it a little bit earlier,
Yes.
just so they can kind of get a broad idea on what that explanation was.
Yes. Again, I want you to look into my eyes, and I want you to understand me that heaven and hell do exist. This is not make-believe. This is not because I follow any kind of religion. This is because I have been there. I did not die in this lifetime and go to heaven. What you had said about a past life. The last thing I did remember was that I died in an explosion. I did not have any past life regression. This is all from first-hand memory. Heaven, people ask me, what is heaven like? How do you know you're in heaven? In the most simple terms, there's no pain. There is absolutely no pain. And the purity of heaven and the love is like no other feeling that you even have here in the physical world. It's magnified by 1,000. And then our senses are beyond extraordinary. So how can a person remember heaven? They take it with them. Some people, I believe, are able to have a remembrance to share with everybody. And I found this very hard to do up until a year ago, to share this kind of story, because you do have non-believers and you're looked at like, how can one person know all this? There's no more truth to the existence of such an incredible place that we go to. Unfortunately, not everybody goes to. And then from heaven, I remember being pulled into the depths of hell. And I was asked, how do you know you're in hell? It's pure evil. You lose all the love and the affection and the feelings and your emotions. And once again, you take in darkness, hate, pain. And the screams are by the hundreds of thousands of people screaming in torture. And what does the inside of hell look like? Hell looks like the inside of a volcano. It has over 100 different levels. It's immense. And does the beast himself actually exist? Satan. He does. Each level in hell has cubbies. These cubbies are where we are put. We are called slaves. The beast is on the bottom. What do demons look like? Demons look like our fears. See, demons are not necessarily walking around with horns and picks. Satan knows our fears. He knows how to torment us. He takes the most disfigured people that would scare us, or things, or insects, or animals, and he puts them together. And goat man, or things that you can't even comprehend the magnitude of how creepy and scary and evil it is just to look at it, never mind what he wants the intent to do to us. Why do people go to hell? It's as simple as it's written. I must have done something very bad in a past life. Do I remember? No. But it's so evil that there's no time as well in heaven or hell. Time does not exist in the spiritual world. And I was taken out because I started to see some of the slaves that were called not there anymore. Some of them. And that gave me restored faith in God. And there was a time where I was pulled through a transportal of light. The light was a pinhole of light that came from miles and miles away to the top right of this look-alike volcano. And I was looking at it, and all I can remember was, it won't pull me in, because the presence of our physical body that we have in the spiritual world, you don't realize that you're able to be pulled through something, a vortex or energy. And when I was pulled in to this light, you take all the love and all the feelings of peace and harmony and happiness, and it's like you're going 100 miles an hour into a vacuum cleaner hose. You get sucked in very, very fast, and you take back who you are, your emotions, and you leave all that darkness behind. Unfortunately, these dark entities were not far behind me, and not all of them. I remember about 3 dark entities. Do I remember what they looked like? I don't. I could feel their evilness and their presence. And through adolescence, you see dark shadows. And as any child, you have nightmares. But then as you get older, the nightmares become night tremors. Night tremors become bad vision, blurred vision, oppression, negative energy, and then evil starts to build itself in the physical world once again, and it has an attachment to a person. And that attachment was me. Now I know I'm not the only one with dark attachments. Many of us have dark attachments. Some of us realize it, and some of us will live a lifetime as an atheist, not knowing the difference of why we're living the life that we're living, whether it's good or bad, or whether something is haunting us. My message is very clear to the public. Heaven and hell exist, and if I die today, I'll leave with those words, that we go on. Our physical bodies are just flesh, and when they decay, it's over. But our spiritual presence continues as if we're walking out of our body. And how do I know that as well? Because I come from heaven.
Just a curious question. As ghost hunters, as investigators, and so forth, does it change your viewpoint on ghosts? Like that they don't exist, or that more demons are actually the ghosts that they're trying to manipulate us? I mean, there's been tons of theories out there that I've actually heard from numerous different people that a lot of demons, being that they're fallen angels, Satan was a fallen angel, they would have been beautiful, without the horns and everything else. So it'd be easier for them to manipulate us, to, trick us into thinking something, because they would be of a beautiful essence. Do you believe that theory to be...
I'm going to answer that in full detail because I'm a man with a lot of experience.
Okay.
So there it is. In the early 90s, I was dating a girl, and she had died of cancer. But when our relationship, we were solid in the fact that we did the Ouija board, and we made a commitment to each other. And we said that if one of us were to die, to try to communicate with the other, to know if we go on. And this was in the early 90s. Well, I opened up a gym in Staten Island, and as years passed, a friend of mine came in and told me that Annette had died. So I says, well, number one, I feel bad because no one told me about the burial and the gravesite, but would you come to the gym tonight when I close up, and I want to see if we can contact her through a Ouija board. So the gym closed. It was 11 o'clock at night, and me and my friend took out the Ouija board, and there was a member there that also is into spiritualism. And I started in my office. We had our fingers on the planchette, and I says, Annette, if you can hear me, answer me. At first, nothing happened for about 5 minutes. Then it started to move in a circular motion, clockwise. And when that was happening, I started to take back remembrance of Annette. But then she came so strongly on the board that she was able to first yell at me and say, why haven't you visited my grave or been to my funeral? And I apologize, because when you lose touch with the next girlfriend, you don't know, it's just out of the loop. But I did apologize, and she goes, there's so much I have to tell you. And I says to her, there's so much I have to ask. What is it like to die? She says to me that she's an earthbound spirit. She watches over her daughter that she had here in the physical world, and she still does not believe in God, but she is like a magnet to the earth. She also explained that the way spirits that have not been pulled to the light, so to speak, there's an alignment of the stars that throws off an energy that allows us here in the physical world to communicate with the other side. Now, a Ouija board is nothing more than a board, again, but it's the intent to communicate with the loved ones. So I wanted validation that this was not psychosomatic or power of thought, that I was actually talking to my ex-girlfriend. So I says to her, "Where are you buried?" And I took my hands off the planchette, and I let my friend and another member of the gym talk to the planchette as I'm asking the question as well. She says, "I'm buried at the Resurrection in Staten Island in Tottenville." She says that my family could not afford a stone, but there's a wooden cross there. And I says, "That's a huge cemetery. How would I find you?" She goes, "I'm going to guide you through the wind." Now, I says to her the next day, "I'm going to do this," meaning tomorrow. And we ended the session, and the next day we went to that cemetery, me and my friend Mark. Now, again, the cemetery was huge, and I could have went to the main office to ask where she was buried, but I wanted to see if this was real. At first, we couldn't find anything because the cemetery is so big. Then the wind was blowing. Now, open cemeteries, there's always a lot of wind, but the wind occurrence was so strong that I wanted to follow it. So we started to walk towards it, not from it, but towards it. Within 20 minutes, we found where she was buried. There was a cross. The gravesite was there with other big stones around. And I says, "Give me a sign." And when I said that, when I said those words, a gust of wind that could have knocked us over came. And I smelt her perfume. And I took in, again, the feeling of happiness, but also hurt. And I realized in my life that spirits communicate also through wind. Again, as simple as that sounds, it's the wind that somehow there's a transformation of energy that they communicate with. So that night we went back on the board, and I says, again, I have so many questions. And her answers were, "I can't answer everything, but I'm earthbound and ghosts do exist. I don't call myself a ghost." She goes, "Phil, it's like walking out of your body. That's how simple it is." There's no boundaries of time, but there is a transformation, how the stars work and the communication. And it's as if, like, when you're in a deep dream or a deep form of meditation where you'll think about someone that's crossed over or they'll come through to you, it's very similar, but it's a lot stronger when you're actually asking upon that spirit, "Can you communicate with me?" Now, I will tell you that there's loved ones that I know that crossed over that I have no communication with. My only thought process is that they're in heaven and they were pulled into the light, but others were not pulled into the light. And some people that may ask me, how come Annette was not pulled into the light? And I'm going to say that she was dark, a very beautiful girl, but she was into the demons and darkness. And by the looks of her, you would never expect that someone would follow darkness. And I asked her, why you chose that side? And it's because she felt that God didn't give her a chance to live, that the cancer was consuming her. Now, Dom, that's one occurrence out of many that I came to realize that the difference between demons and ghosts.
Yeah, I mean that's really one of the biggest questions out there, that I've always come across with a lot of people, that are skeptic or non-believers is, there a lot of the TV shows and a lot of the stuff out there says stuff about more demonic hauntings and so forth. And numerous times all you hear is a lot of people saying that, it's 1 in 1,000 chance of a demonic haunting, for you to actually go through a demonic haunting. So, I mean, I'm absolutely honored to be able to speak with you, be able to share this with everybody that's viewing or anybody that will view, because I myself, I do believe there's angels, which if there's angels, there has to be demons. If there's
Yes.
a positive, there has to be a negative.
Yes.
Science just does say
Yes.
that, you know.
Yes.
Um,
That's all true. Dom, I gotta be very clear. Again, you don't know me, but if you can feel the intent of someone telling the truth, heaven, hell, demons, angels, this is all real. Ghosts are spirits that did not get pulled into either way. I don't have all the answers to that. I could only tell you from a life experience that communicating with spirits and knowing a demonic feeling of what's happening around me, there is a difference. And not everything is demonic. They are few and far between. But when you start to learn how demons work and what their mission is, and you feel their negativity and their oppression of what they want, it's vicious. It's very, very vicious. And paranormal teams, I had some people come to my home on the blind. In fact, I had a team come here, and I said, there's nothing but good spirits in my basement. I just want you to talk to them. And when they came to the basement and they walked down the stairs, they shook their heads and they go, no, this is not good. This is oppression like we've never felt before. And that validated to me that these paranormal teams were true. And then the evidence that they got further was amazing. And that's how I got involved also with Carissa, is that I contacted Eastern Paranormal Society. Again, I tried to be a skeptic, but also put a question mark and have an open ear into what I'm dealing with. And when this girl came forward and told me that she sees a man with a top hat, quite frankly, in the beginning, I didn't believe it. And she says that there's a man named Chief, a demon. I didn't believe that also. I just felt like I was dealing with demonic oppression. But when she was able to describe it, and I asked her to live in this case for a few months and investigate it like no other and bring everything you have, then I learned that the reality of what's happening here. An investigation and a paranormal team, I take my hat off to. The only thing I would say that if I had to give any constructive criticism is that the 4 or 5 hours doesn't do any justice to a paranormal investigation. It's like going fishing for the big one. You could fish for 3 days and catch nothing. You have to stay and implant yourself into a haunting, if you have the time, of course, and really see what's going on from morning till night. And when you do that and you live and sleep in the case that you're dealing with, that's the point when you start to realize everything around you. That's what Carissa did. She was brave enough to do that. Unfortunately, things didn't turn out the way we wanted it to. And this, again, is an open investigation. And people say to me, you know, I don't believe a word you're saying, or it can't be true of heaven or hell and demons. And I say, if you have at least 10 years experience in the field of paranormal as an investigator, my hat's off. My doors are open. Come here and spend the night. And then you tell me in your own words what you're dealing with. That's a pretty big statement because I have a family to raise. But for a man to open his door is a lot. I'll even feed you. So I do that, Dom, because I want people to know that these things are real. This is not fake. And people also ask me, why do I talk briefly about organized crime? I tell it because this is my face. This is who I am. I'm not going to go into all the detail about that life, but I will tell you that my name is Phil Siracusa, this is my face, and this is what I deal with every day. And for those that question hauntings or demons, and I'm not going to tell you that I see demons with horns, but I will tell you that I see dark shadows, and when you see them, it's like you get beaten up physically through their negative emotion. That's all real.
Well, I mean, for anybody to truly believe anybody, you know, giving the full truth is the only way to do it. So, I mean, by you telling the truth of everything going on, you know, that really lets people know, hey, this is really happening. You know, so I don't question your motives for telling anybody the information you have.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the chat, see if they have any questions for you. The first one I see is, do you have any knowledge of how someone could become a demon, or demons are more or less demons only come from hell. They don't come from a human form. Is one of the questions that
Demons were never human. They come straight from hell.
Okay. And let me see if there's more on there. Is there another question was, is there a website that has documentation of what the paranormal teams have found? Is that information out there for the public?
Yeah, it's limited information at this time. You can actually message Carissa Fleck. She is the project manager of Horsefly Productions. There is SoundCloud out there for the public. There are some pictures and video. In fact, a great person by the name of David Spinks was at my home a few months ago. That's on YouTube, the live investigation that he did here at my home.
Okay.
And also, I want to say this, Dom. On YouTube, you punch in the Horsefly Chronicles, and you're going to see a picture of a slot machine. As simple as it is, it's a slot machine. But what happened that night was amazing. After the deliverance that I had, and the home was blessed by a whole ministry, a couple days later, I felt like something else was in this home again, and the dark shadows were starting to appear. And this very room that you're looking at, this is the room where it's called a portal, where anything but evil could follow. And in that video, my son has a dinosaur, a toy dinosaur, and you have to push the tail down for the dinosaur to go off. It's not voice activated, it's not motion activated, it's only by pushing the tail down. Well, the dinosaur was on the slot machine, and we were asking questions, and it went right through that dinosaur and made it go off on the question. To me, that was the smoking gun. That was the smoking gun that spirits can communicate through electronics. Just like we have EVPs and spirit boxes, a toy they were able to communicate through. And watch the video. It's a little corny of the questions we asked because we were thrown off what was happening, but it's all true, and what you see is what you get, period, on that video.
Very interesting. Would you consider yourself a demonologist in some ways?
No.
Not at all? Okay, because they are kind of asking some questions that I think would be more...
I'm not a medium, I'm not a psychic, I'm not a paranormal investigator, I'm not a demonologist. I'm a person that just raises a family that has experienced all these things. And I'm able now to detect. If I went into another home that was haunted, I would know right off the bat whether it was a good haunting or a bad haunting, because I'm living it. I can feel it. And I had a sales job back a year ago, and I've done it for numerous years. And I would go into people's homes and try to sell a product. In some people's homes, I felt nothing but peace and so pure. Other homes felt like complete darkness and emptiness. And I always wondered why I would get these feelings of people's homes as I'm trying to sell a product, only to realize that in my own doors, what I'm dealing with is my own hands-on experience to share with people, that sometimes you don't have to believe in anything. You could just feel it. Make believe you were a blind person and you walked into a haunted house. Well, guess what? If you couldn't see, you would still feel it. And that's what I've encountered.
The question that was referred to is, what is the most common form of a demon? You're not really a demonologist, so I'm not sure if you really have a basis to be able to answer that. That's really up to you if you'd like to.
Yeah, I could try to answer it in the best ways. Is that you feel nothing but negative oppression, but demons go after the mind first before the body. They will go after your mind. If you have these negative thoughts, but they're vicious and you feel oppression and you feel drained of all your energy, chances are it's very evil that you're dealing with something that's very bad. Not saying right off the bat that that's a demon, but that's the signs of what you're dealing with.
Actually, my question, I do see there's more in the chat as well, but question I kind of have for you, and I'm not asking you to say the names, but do you know the names of the demons that are there with you? I know certain individuals say if you say their name or call out their name, it'll call them to you or so forth. I was just curious if you actually knew what their names were.
One is Malphus, one is Beelzebub, and the other goes by Chief. Whether they're telling me the truth or the investigators the truth, I don't know. But I just got lightheaded as I said that. But
right, that's why I was saying you didn't need to say them.
Well, I try to be as honest and open as I can, but I'll deal with the punches, even in the room.
Then the next question is, do these entities affect your whole family? I'm guessing they do. So.
Yes, they do. Some of the things I will not talk about because it's personal and it hurts. But, you got to remember that evil wants evil. They don't want a person to be happy. The first thing they'll go after is the mind. They'll take away a person's happiness, their emotional love, and they'll affect children and your spouse. Oh, yeah, numerous times it's happened. To the point, again, where I've had 2 ministers. I've had deliverances and the home blessed. So, again, I'm still having investigated to get more answers of what the next step for me will be and my family.
Next question is from Ghost of Britain. To a gentleman in United Kingdom. He does his own show as well. He may actually be interested in having you on his show. He does interviews and so forth as well. But his is what are the common signs for somebody to be aware of a demonic haunting? I think we did kind of go over this a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we touched on it. The common signs are you'll lose your energy. Your mind will be attacked first. The mind. You'll feel nothing but evil around you and oppression. You'll have negative thoughts, and a demon will translate its dark energy into our physical body. Not that we'll be disfigured in our eyes and our face gets deformed. No. What it does, every person has an aura. I don't want to get too in depth with that, but the aura, electrical field around every living thing, dark entities can attach themselves to, as if we are a lighthouse. When they do that, a person, let's say, that has a good aura, colorful aura, will all of a sudden become dark. And it's as if they're being taken over by a demonic entity. And I have seen that over and over and over, where people have been taken over. And I question, is it my mind? Is it my eyes? Is this real? And after seeing it so many times, and it's scary when a person gets taken over and you're looking at them, you start to wonder what you're talking to and what you're dealing with. And you want to break away from it and try to snap that person out of it as best as you can.
Yeah, I actually had an occurrence on one of my shows. We were testing out the Dark Vox, and it was very, very odd. I mean, I wouldn't say I was possessed, but I mean, there was a possibility. My whole personality changed while I was doing the show. I literally acted like I was high, and I don't smoke pot. I don't do any drugs. It was very odd. And I mean, even people that have watched the shows from the beginning, they go, "What the hell happened?" Because it was like a light switch. I was focused on nothing, and then all of a sudden, as I came out of it, I just acted like I was high. Like I just even I could see what I was doing, but I couldn't control it. It was very, very odd.
That's true. What happens is you go into a slight meditative state that you don't realize that it's happening to you. And you become as if you go into stare mode and you don't know what you're staring into, and then you're blank. and then you start to take in what that entity wants you to take in because it's pushing its way into you.
Actually, another question is, how has your book been taken? How has it been received? Have a lot of people felt made comments that they've learned more because of this, or have you gotten some hostility? I mean, it was one of the questions that's in the chat. Is how has your book been received?
The book, like any other book, has, its positive viewers, its negative viewers. I tell people, if you have an open mind, read it. If you don't have an open mind, don't read it, because it's only going to put you into defense mode of what I'm saying about heaven, hell, ghosts, demons. If you're open mind, read it. The book does great. I have it out there because I want people to know what my experiences are, what I'm dealing with, and maybe one day I could help other people.
No, I think it's a great idea having the book out there. It gives information from actual accounts, to let people know the truth, and I think that's valuable. I think that's
And another thing, Dom, I want to put out there as well. I've been questioned, do I publicize demons, or why do I have such a tremendous Facebook page of talking about the Horsefly Chronicles? I talk about it, and I have that page and the best people on that page because I want people to realize that, number one, if people don't believe in paranormal unity, well, guess what? The Horsefly Chronicles, that's one of my missions. If I have to live a haunted life, I want to bring people together that can help each other. Because let's face it, science cannot explain paranormal. It can't. It's theory. But when you have the best people within paranormal get together and give answers, and I learned that from having people come to my home, I gain knowledge and I share that knowledge.
No, I think that is absolutely very valuable, information like that. And that's that's been a big piece of all the shows that I've been doing is trying to get the real story out there. Getting ghost hunters, interviewing ghost hunters to have their true account instead of everything that's on TV. Everything on TV,
Yes.
Some of it is fabricated, some of it isn't. But, the real people out there investigating, they're going to give you the real truth because, sometimes it's not glamorous. You're sitting in a room for 5 hours, no lights, no nothing. And then
Sure.
you go through the footage and you're like, holy shit, did you see that? It was pretty awesome.
It's a lot of work for a ghost hunter because I've seen people firsthand, and sometimes I like to sit in and watch what they're doing. But I will say this, where TV is glamorized and all that stuff, we know that. That's why it's television. I will say that the haunting and TV shows, if you listen to the people that do talk, not the ghost hunters, but the people that are being interviewed, they all have a similarity. That's not a lie. And the similarity is the fights in the family, the negative energy, the screaming, the arguing, the losing a job, the oppression, then hearing voices. That's all true. That is all true. I cannot take away that from anybody because I live that. And when I watch that, I know that people are genuine. That's how these shows start off, where they're hearing things, but yet they're fighting with their family. And that's what evil wants to do. It wants to tear people apart.
What for you personally, how do you feel about the terminology of paranormal? I mean, somebody kind of did bounce back with a statement that says you experience demons, but you say that the paranormal is a theory. I mean, I can come back in defense on that, which is demons and angels is spiritual, whereas paranormal is scientific or, theory of science. I don't know if you want to go any broader with that.
Sure. Again, living the life that I live and experiencing everything I experience. Well, I'm not a paranormal investigator. I could tell you that all these things are real. However, when I say theory, I mean that science cannot come into, it's never going to meet where I hear a voice and the voice is out of nowhere. Science is never going to pick that up. And we can only give the best explanation you as a paranormal investigator or psychics and mediums can give the best explanation. But when science doesn't pick it up, it doesn't become fact to the open ear that says, no, there's something else to this. That's what I meant. I've seen a lot of equipment that paranormal teams use, voice boxes, spirit boxes, the EVPs, all that stuff. At first, I questioned all of that maybe it's triggered off by something else in a home or power lines or something. But then, the deeper I got into learning about how paranormal teams work, that was not a coincidence. When certain words or answers were responded according to a question, now that to me was more fact that these things do exist and they're being picked up through spirit boxes and audio recording. So it's hard for a lot of people to understand, especially me, because I'm living it. I think that part of me wants to have a close there because it's afraid when you close the lights at night, shut the lights, things get pretty evil around here. So you're like, yeah, it's just a theory. It's not real. Sometimes you want to go to bed thinking that it's just in your mind when you live in an extreme haunting because you can't get away from it. No matter where you go, you can't leave it.
Now, have the occurrences that have happened to you and that continue to happen to you, has it ever drove you to try to become an actual investigator? Or is it more or less there's so much going on where you're living that you're trying to deal with that instead of going outside of investigating somewhere else?
If someone asks me if I can go to their home within arm's reach, of course, and tell them if what they're dealing with, I could probably pick up the energy because I know what I'm dealing with. I didn't look into being an investigator only because I'm in a really bad battle right now. This is not a good battle. This is a very evil battle. The radio shows that I do, I talk about it to teach people and also learn. But when it's nighttime, it's not friendly. There's a war here. There's an actual war with darkness. I was in the kitchen the other night at 2 o'clock in the morning getting something to drink, and I hear crackling in the walls. Crackling. I'm saying, is it squirrels? Is it something like mice? But then I see this dark shadow. It's the size of a basketball, a little smaller. It's really dark, and it bounces around, ceiling to floor. It just flies everywhere. And I think it's the lights. And then I start to take in that negative thought feeling. And one thing Carissa told me a year ago was that to never look into that dark thing because that's what it wants you to do. And she was right, actually, about that. The more you look into it, the more it slowly takes you over.
Another question from the chat. Have you ever considered actually trying to become a demonologist?
No.
To understand them a little bit more or how to get rid of them?
No, not at all.
And then Cheryl Tilbury asked, what do you have in plan next to try to deal with this? Is there any special thing you have planned next to try to deal with this?
Yeah, here it is. In simple terms, I'm bringing in more paranormal teams. And you're going to say, well, that's not going to get rid of anything. And the answer is, you're right, it's not. But it's going to help me identify more how to combat this problem that's ongoing. Because more knowledge is more power when you're dealing with these dark entities.
And we only got about 10 more minutes left. Is there any upcoming shows or anything that's coming out upcoming that you'd like to make any announcements on to let people know where to find you, where to get more information, and so forth?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Phil Siracusa, the Horsefly Chronicles page. I do radio shows. I'll be on Noreen's show. It's another YouTube show. Would be with Carissa Fleck and Dave Spinks this Thursday, live stream, just like you see now. And Dave Spinks is going to talk about, as he investigated the case, what he dealt with here. Um, Carissa updates everyone on future events. But the one thing you should learn from me, Phil Siracusa, is that I'm bringing this to the public live, that I'm still learning and living this, and hoping that when I do find an answer, whether it's through a paranormal team or a psychic or a medium or someone that can bring solitude to my family, then I'm going to bring it out there and tell people, because I'm sure there's a lot of other people dealing with something similar.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate all the knowledge and all the insight you gave to everybody that's viewing, and I appreciate it very much. If anybody is interested, you can definitely you can see the interview with Carissa Fleck. It's under Interview the Ghost Hunter. You can also check her out on Facebook, Carissa Fleck, and you can check out Phil as well on Facebook. And they have your book is on Amazon, I believe.
Yes.
That you can pick up
Amazon.
the book.
Yes, the Horsefly Chronicles. And we're going to have other teams here. Dom, now, just a quick question. You're upstate New York, am I correct?
Yeah, yep. I live in upstate New York, yep.
Okay, so if you ever do have an interest yourself, because you are an investigator, Easton's not that far away. It's probably an hour and a half, 2 hours tops. But if you ever want to investigate, let me know. My door is open.
I appreciate that. Carissa did say something in the past about, if I am ever interested, she would try to ask you about it. And I said, I just want to make sure I got a solid group of people that I'm going with. You know what I mean? Just, you would never want to go into any case that you don't know anything about,
Yes.
without having a solid group behind you as support.
Yes.
Even the show where that happened to me, my partner that I was working with, if he wasn't there, that should never have happened. If you're by yourself, that type of stuff. Because you don't know what could happen. You can never come out of it. You don't know.
Yes, that's true. In fact, there have been people that have been followed home. Again, evil has no boundaries. People have been followed home, and whether they've been sick, and the story goes on, but anybody that wants to come here, you need protection. To this degree, I don't even know what kind of protection anymore. I've seen people do sage and oils and say the Holy Rosary. I'm kind of clueless to what kind of protection. Only you guys would know that, but I would like you to come down, because knowledge is power for me too, to see more answers to this. I feel like right now putting a puzzle together and try to put it together so that I could solve all these problems, and then I could help others.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I do believe the demons do exist. Personally.
There's no doubt. There is absolutely no doubt. And if you do doubt, come here.
Right. Anybody
and
that
see for yourself what's happening here. Now, I know the show's going to end, but I want to do this. I want to turn the camera and just speak about a certain area in the room. Is it okay if I do that?
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. Yep.
So, very quickly, this was my son's bedroom. I bought this house in 2010. This bedroom is called the portal, where entities come through and whatnot. Now, the most mysterious things do happen in this room. Things that I can't even explain. They're just bizarre. So I'm going to turn the camera a little bit to right there. And you should just see a bed. Do you see a bed?
Yeah, I can see the end of it. Yep.
Okay. The area that you're looking in is where, this is what I'm going to describe happens. It looks like when you see lightning in the sky, it's about a foot long. It looks like lightning. It's dark, and it tries to manifest itself in the area that you're looking at. It's not happening right now, thankfully. I'm alone in the room, but that's what it looks like, and that's where it likes to stay. That's why I'm pointing the camera right there. Do you see the spot at the end of the bed?
Yep.
Okay, that's where it likes to stay. Why? I don't know. And sensitives and psychics say that that's another doorway right there. Another doorway to another side. I don't see it, but when certain things happen late at night, I run out of here about 200 miles an hour, as big as I am, because it's scary. It's really creepy. It doesn't happen all the time, but when it does, it tries to manifest itself right in that spot. So once again, Dom, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. Anybody?
For having me on your show. You have a great show. I've been looking forward to being on this, and I hope that you gain some insight and a little bit of perspective of what I'm saying and what I'm dealing with, and other people. If anybody has a message for me that is a psychic or a medium, message me on Facebook to give me answers, because I'm still looking for more answers, and it's a still wide open investigation. So once again, I really do appreciate it, and hopefully in the future I'll get to meet you as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely very interested in trying to get down there. I'm not sure I would be able to stay, like for a whole week or a month or whatever it was.
I would say this, Dom. If you were going to come here, I'd say stay on a Saturday night, because Saturday night after 12 o'clock, I run upstairs. I'm just going to leave it like that. And seeing is believing. That's the night where it's like as if they have their own party. These things, they're everywhere. Everywhere you see shadows, and it's like, what are they doing? But then you start to feel sick. So you have to try to use your mind and make believe you're not seeing what you're seeing.
All right, I appreciate you coming on. Everybody, you can see more about Phil or get in contact with him on Facebook. Also, this Thursday on Noreen's show, which is at should be 9 p.m. on Paranormal Zone TV, you can check out another interview with Phil, talking about the case that Dave Spinks and you and Carissa did at the house. Also, tonight, 10 o'clock on liveparanormal.com, there is a live investigation on LPTV with Nikki and Rob, the owner of Live Paranormal. So thank you guys for viewing, and thank you, Phil, for being here and telling your story, at least a section of it, for others that would be more interested in finding out more about this story. Check out the books on Amazon.
Yes, thank you, Dom. Thank you for everybody that's watching the show today, and peace to everybody.